In 2017, the U.S. Navy commissioned the most expensive warship ever built, the USS Gerald R. Ford. $13 billion. A decade of development. It was supposed to be the biggest leap in carrier technology in 50 years. At the heart of that leap, a completely new way to launch aircraft. For 70 years, carriers had launched jets using steam. High-pressure steam, drawn from the ship's own reactors, blasting a piston down a track to fling aircraft into the sky. It worked. It had worked for generations. But it was also violent and hard on the airframes it launched. The Ford class replaced it entirely, with electromagnetic energy instead of steam. The system is called EMALS, ENJO, the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System. Instead of a steam blast, a precisely controlled magnetic field accelerates the aircraft smoothly down the deck. The promised benefits were significant: less stress on airframes, more launches per day, and the ability to launch a wider range of aircraft. The Navy called it a generational leap forward. Alongside EMALS came another new system, electromagnetic arresting gear, replacing the old hydraulic cables that caught landing aircraft. Two brand new, unproven systems, built into the most expensive ship in naval history, before either had been fully tested at sea. It was a bet on the future. And for years, that bet looked shaky. Because the technology that was supposed to define the Ford class almost didn't work at all. EMALS was supposed to be simpler and more reliable than steam. Early testing told a very different story. Government auditors reported reliability rates far below what the Navy required. The arresting gear had its own troubles. Failures during testing raised serious safety questions. For a ship meant to launch and recover aircraft in rapid, continuous cycles, unreliable systems were a serious problem. The ship's own maintenance and reliability issues extended well beyond the launch systems. The ship's own maintenance and reliability issues extended well beyond the launch systems. New elevators for moving munitions, new radar systems, new galley equipment crate, nearly everything on board was untested at scale. Delivery was delayed. Costs climbed well past initial estimates. Critics inside and outside the Navy asked a hard question. Had the service tried to do too much, too fast, on one ship? The answer mattered, because the Ford class wasn't meant to be a one-off. The Navy planned an entire class of these carriers, each one meant to build on the last. Every reliability problem on the first ship became a question mark over every ship that would follow. Over years of fixes, testing, and refinement, the Navy did improve EMALS reliability significantly. By the time the Ford deployed operationally, the numbers had improved a great deal from those early tests. Years of reports, hearings, and headlines about an unreliable, over-budget flagship. And in 2026, that reputation caught up with the program in an unexpected way.
A new presidential directive ordered something almost nobody expected.
Future Ford-class carriers, it said, should return to steam catapults.
The technology the Ford class was built specifically to replace.
a $13 billion flagship, and the plan was to walk part of it back.
So was EMALS really a failure, Picotend? Or something more complicated?
The real numbers behind the electromagnetic launch system reveal the true power of this engineering marvel. As a piece of engineering, electromagnetic launch genuinely works. It launches aircraft more gently than steam, reducing airframe stress over the life of a jet. It can also be precisely tuned for different aircraft weights, from light drones to heavy fighters' weights, something steam struggles to do smoothly. By later testing, EMALS reliability had climbed to levels the Navy considers acceptable for sustained operations. So the core technology isn't the villain in this story. The real problems were about integration, cost, and timing. Building an entire ship around several brand new systems at once made every early failure harder to isolate and fix. That drove up both the cost and the political criticism score, long before the systems had time to mature. Meanwhile, steam catapults have one major advantage EMALS still can't fully match: 7 decades of combat-tested reliability data. For a Navy managing global commitments, that track record carries real weight.
There's also a simpler, more practical argument for returning to steam on some future ships.
Steam systems are cheaper and faster to build, using existing, well-understood manufacturing processes. In a moment where the Navy wants to build carriers faster and expand its fleet, familiar technology has its own kind of value.
That doesn't mean EMALS disappears.
The existing Ford-class ships keep their electromagnetic systems, now backed by years of additional data and fixes.
Future ships may mix both approaches, depending on cost, schedule, and mission.
This isn't really a story about one technology losing to another. It's a story about the real cost of pushing too many new systems onto one ship at the same time. Every one of those systems eventually worked. But eventually isn't a word budgets or headlines forgive easily. The Ford class became a lesson in ambition, outpacing readiness.
Not a failure. A very expensive education.
Welcome to the Fleet Today. Forged in steel and powered by the dedication of thousands, this is naval aviation at its finest. So where does that leave the Navy right now, in 2026? The Gerald R. Ford has completed multiple operational deployments. A second Ford-class carrier, the John F. Kennedy, has completed its sea trials and is nearing delivery. Meanwhile, the Navy is also weighing broader changes, including where future carriers get built at all. A new policy memo has opened the door to foreign shipbuilders competing for certain naval vessel contracts.
A striking shift for a service that has always built its warships exclusively at home.
At the same time, weapons production is accelerating across the board.
New contracts worth billions are pushing manufacturers to build munitions faster than at any point in recent years.
The Navy is also testing new roles for unmanned underwater vehicles, including basing them directly on submarines.
A quiet expansion of stealth and reach in contested waters.
None of this happens in isolation from the Ford-class story. Every one of these programs is shaped by the same lesson: Build wisely, or pay for it in cost, schedule, and reputation. The Ford class will likely be remembered two ways at once: as the ship that proved electromagnetic launch technology could work at sea,
and as the program that taught the Navy just how expensive first of its kind really is.
Both things can be true at once.
and both are shaping how the next generation of American warships gets designed. More carefully, more incrementally, with fewer unproven systems stacked onto one hull at once. That, in the end, may be the Ford class's most lasting legacy. So was the $13 billion carrier a mistake?
Not exactly.
The technology at its core, electromagnetic launch and recovery, works, and works well, once it's had time to mature.
The mistake, if there was one, was trying to prove too much on a single, enormously expensive ship.
The return to steam on future ships isn't a rejection of EMALS.
It's a recognition that not every carrier needs to carry every risk at once.
Some ships will push the technological edge. Others will prioritize speed, cost, and certainty.
That's not retreat. That's a fleet learning to balance ambition with reliability.
The USS Gerald R. Ford itself remains, today, a fully operational, increasingly reliable flagship.
Its early struggles were real. So is the capability it now delivers.
Every major leap in naval technology has followed a similar arc: steam power, nuclear propulsion, angled flight decks.
Each one difficult and expensive at first. Each one eventually standard.
Electromagnetic launch technology is very likely on that same path.
Just not on every ship, and not on the same timeline the Navy first promised. The real story of the Ford class was never really about steam versus electromagnetics. Each one difficult and expensive at first. Each one eventually standard. Electromagnetic launch technology is very likely on that same path. Just not on every ship, and not on the same timeline the Navy first promised. The real story of the Ford class was never really about steam versus electromagnetics. It was about how much risk a military is willing to accept in pursuit of the future to pills, and what it costs when that bet takes longer to pay off than promised. The Ford sailed anyway, and the fleet behind it is still learning from the voyage. This has been the real story of the Gerald R. Ford.